The guns go quiet on the 13th of January, 1970. Not all at once. The way wars end is never clean. There is no single moment where every weapon is lowered simultaneously, no precise second where the last bullet stops mid-air and the world exhales together. It happens in stages. A commander surrenders here. A unit stands down there. A radio broadcast goes out. And then, slowly, unevenly, like a fever breaking after a very long illness, the shooting stops. Colonel Olusegun Obasanjo accepts the formal surrender of the Biafran forces. He is calm. Professional. Correct in every military sense. The next day he makes the announcement on the former rebel radio station, Radio Biafra Enugu, now back in federal hands. The war is over. Biafra is no more. The eastern region is reintegrated into the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And then Gowon speaks. He does not speak like a man who has just won a war. He speaks like a man who wants the world to believe he never thought of it as a war at all, just a temporary family disagreement, now resolved. We are one people. We have always been one people. Today we do not celebrate victory over a defeated enemy. Today we celebrate the reunification of our nation. There is no victor. There is no vanquished. We are Nigerians, all of us, and together we will rebuild. Gowon said. No victor. No vanquished. The words travel fast. They are translated, reprinted, broadcast across Nigeria and around the world. International observers nod approvingly. After 3 years of horror, after more than 1 million dead, after the photographs of starving children that shocked the conscience of the world, here is the Nigerian head of state offering not triumphalism but reconciliation. Not punishment but peace. Not the boot of the conqueror but the open hand of the brother. It sounds, to the outside world, like grace. Inside Biafra, inside what is now, once again, simply called the Eastern region, the people hear the speech and allow themselves, cautiously, to hope. They have been through so much. They have lost so much. But if Gowon means what he says, if there truly is no victor and no vanquished, then maybe, somehow, they can begin again. Maybe the land can be farmed again, the businesses rebuilt, the children fed and schooled and given back the future the war stole from them. Maybe. An old woman sits in the rubble of what used to be her home and listens to the speech on a crackly radio held together with wire and hope. When it is finished she is quiet for a long time. Her granddaughter watches her face. "Mama, is it over?" her granddaughter asked. "The shooting is over." The old woman replied. "So we are safe now?" her granddaughter asked again. The old woman looks at the child. Looks at the rubble around them. Looks at the road where her neighbors used to walk and where now there is only dust and silence and the particular emptiness that follows devastation. "Go inside. Let me think." The old woman answered. She has survived too much to believe too quickly. And as the weeks turn into months, and the policies of the post-war federal government begin to reveal themselves one by one, the old woman's caution will prove to be the wisest thing in that destroyed neighborhood. Because the open hand that Gowon extended in his speech is about to become a closed fist. The first blow comes quietly. Almost bureaucratically. The federal government announces that Igbo people who had bank accounts in Nigeria before the war, accounts they had spent their working lives building, saving into, protecting, will be entitled to withdraw their money. Every account, regardless of its balance, will be honored. With £20. £20. A man who had £10,000 in his account before the war, £20. A woman who had saved her entire life, who had built a business, who had planned for her children's education and her own old age, £20. Every account. Every person. Every life's work. £20. I went to the bank with my passbook. I had over £4,000 in that account. I showed them. I showed them the numbers. The balance was right there. The Igbo man cried. £20, sir. Those are the rules. The bank official replied. £4,000. It is written right here. You can see it. The Igbo man, now more frustrated than ever, cried out. £20. Next please. The bank official replied nonchalantly. He stands at that counter for a long time. Long enough that the people behind him begin to shift uncomfortably. Long enough that the bank official looks away. And then he takes the £20 for 4,000, and he walks out into the street and he sits down on the pavement and he puts his face in his hands. He is not crying. He is past crying. He is calculating. Trying to figure out how a man rebuilds his life on £20. Trying to do the mathematics of survival with numbers that do not add up no matter how many times he runs them. They do not add up. And it is not just the money. The houses that Igbo families owned in Lagos, in Kano, in Kaduna, in cities across Nigeria, occupied by strangers during the war, are not returned. The strangers have papers now. New papers. Government-issued documents saying that the properties belong to them. The original owners show up at their own front doors and are turned away. Sometimes politely. Sometimes not politely at all. This is my house. I have documents. The northern occupant said. I built this house. I have lived here for 20 years. The original owner of the house replied. I have documents. You do not. Goodbye. The northern occupant said and shut the door. The jobs that Igbo civil servants, doctors, engineers, and teachers held across Nigeria before the war, filled during the war with replacement workers who were, in many cases, less qualified, are not given back. The replacements have settled in. They have their own documents now. Their own tenure. Their own claims. And then, in 1972, at the height of the oil boom, when Nigeria is flush with petroleum money and the government is implementing its indigenization decree, forcing foreign companies to sell shares to Nigerians and creating enormous wealth-building opportunities for ordinary citizens, the Igbo people find themselves locked out of this too. Because the £20 policy has left them without the capital to participate. While other Nigerians are buying shares, building wealth, positioning themselves for the future, the Igbo are still trying to find their footing on the rubble of the war. Every door, every single door, was closed to us at the same time. The banks. The properties. The jobs. The oil shares. All of it. Simultaneously. An Igbo businessman cried. You think it was planned? His brother asked. I don't think anything. I can see. I have eyes. What I see is that every decision made after that war pushed us down. Every single one. At some point, coincidence stops being coincidence, the Igbo businessman replied. And this is the point at which the words, no victor, no vanquished, stop sounding like grace and start sounding like something else entirely. Because you cannot strip a people of their savings with a £20 policy and call it reconciliation. You cannot allow their properties to be seized and their jobs to be taken and their participation in the oil boom to be structurally prevented, and then stand at a microphone and tell the world that nobody lost this war. Somebody lost. The evidence was in every empty bank account. In every occupied house. In every qualified Igbo professional standing outside an office that used to be theirs. In every share certificate that should have existed and didn't because there was no capital left to buy one with. Nigeria had one. And the Igbo people, through the food blockade, through the £20 policy, through the seizure of properties and the locking out of opportunity and the deliberate, systematic, policy-by-policy dismantling of everything they had built, had been flawlessly, comprehensively, and undeniably defeated. Not just on the battlefield. In the peace that followed. Gowan told the world the war was over on the 13th of January, 1970. He was right. The shooting was over. But for the Igbo people, for the mothers counting £20 in their hands where thousands used to be, for the men standing outside homes they built and could no longer enter, for the children growing up in the rubble of a future that had been carefully, deliberately taken from them. The war had not ended. It had simply changed its weapons. If this episode made you angry, hold on to that anger. It is the appropriate response to an injustice this profound. Subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss episode 8, where the Igbo people do what they have always done when history tries to bury them: they rise. The scattering begins. The suns go out. And a prophecy is spoken that will echo all the way to a mansion in Los Angeles decades later. Drop a comment below. Did you know about the 20-pound policy? Did you know about the property seizures? Share this episode with someone who needs to understand why this history still matters today. Like this video so the algorithm carries this story further. We will see you in episode 8.